This is Matt's Madness. This week I'm reviewing Monday Night Raw and giving you my official Fastlane predictions for this Sunday. This is a pay-per-view that's going to provide a lot of clarity as to what direction WWE is taking rolling into WrestleMania. And could we see a big return this Sunday? I'll let you know right after this.
Podcasting from the capital city of the great state of New York. This is the Matt's Madness Show, a weekly podcast about the world of professional wrestling.
Give me a hell yeah!
Technology, and damn near anything else that comes to mind. And now, here's your host, Matt Corsell.
Welcome to Matt's Madness. Thank you for joining me. It's a big week. It's the final pay-per-view before WrestleMania. There's a lot of questions to answer, a lot of directions WWE could take. They've kind of been in a mess since the Royal Rumble, kind of waffling back and forth. You don't know where they're going, who's turning heel, who's supposed to be babyface. Everyone's kind of, I guess, in between. Daniel Bryan, in my opinion, has even been hurt by this whole process. There doesn't seem to be the magic of last year. And really, WWE has to deliver at Fastlane. Yes, it's a free pay-per-view. Yes, the expectations aren't too high. But at the same time, this is their advertisement for WrestleMania. Specifically for the WWE Network, that is. Because that's how they're going to live and die. So, Fastlane to WWE is extremely important, even though we all know that no feuds are going to be blown off. In other words, there's not going to be any payoff. You're going to see a lot of heel wins, a lot of no finishes, a lot of outcomes that just build to WrestleMania. Nothing is going to be solved. It's just going to be, in other words, the heat's just going to get turned up. We're not going to serve the food yet. They're just turning up the burners, and that's pretty much the best analogy I can make if you're following me here. So, before I get into Monday Night Raw, as always, you can get in touch with me. Questions at mattsmadness.com. I'm also, obviously, my website's mattsmadness.com. Follow me on Twitter. Matts_madness is the handle. As I mentioned, I couldn't get rid of that underscore because somebody else got that Matt's Madness name and had to add that underscore. So don't forget, Matts_madness is Twitter. And I'm also on Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, YouTube. So follow me on all of those. I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe. And you'll never miss an episode. So I appreciate the support, I'm really having a lot of fun doing this for you guys, and I will continue to do it until I can do it no longer. So, rolling into Fastlane, as I mentioned, is extremely important to WWE. And as a fan, my expectations are pretty low for Fastlane, and I don't see, like I mentioned, a lot of things being resolved. I expect a lot of heat to be turned up, a lot of feuds to just be intensified. But this is an opportunity for the undercard to really maximize their minutes. Since Fastlane has such a low expectation among fans, and I really do believe that, it's an opportunity to really surprise not only fans, but really the WWE management. If you're in the undercard, tag teams, what have you, this is your chance to really shine and maybe make a case to get on WrestleMania. So I think we're going to see a lot of bust-ass matches. I think you're going to see a lot of guys really working hard and physical on Sunday because this is a free pay-per-view, yeah, but it's really an advertisement for WrestleMania, and the more subscribers to them, the better. So, duh. Anyway, Monday Night Raw from Orlando, Florida, the Amway Center. John Cena comes out to a mixed reaction, says that the WWE Universe goes as far as the eye can see. Talks about the crowd again, pandering to the crowd. Get those women and children screaming, John. Mentions Orlando, Florida, of course. It's a babyface thing to do. Mention the city you're in. Shows last week's attack by Rusev. Says that Rusev is not unbeatable, and the way to beat him is to take the fight to him. He says that he loves when people cheer. He loves when people boo because that's what Monday Night Raw is all about, having fun. Really? That's what Monday Night Raw is all about, and I'm supposed to take you seriously, so you're just here to have fun? I don't want to get into the whole believability thing, but Monday Night Raw is not to have fun. That's what we do as fans. You're a wrestler. Oh, wait, excuse me, a performer. Don't tell me you're there to have fun. That takes me out of the moment. Again, that's like calling yourself a performer. Don't do it. Don't tell me I hope my performance was entertaining. It's the same thing. You're not there to have fun, John. God almighty. So anyway, but he says having fun isn't going to cut it to beat Rusev at Fastlane. And for a long time, people have been asking, when is John Cena going to change? Yeah. I was hoping it would happen. We'd see a darker side at SummerSlam with Brock Lesnar and at the follow-up Night of Champions with Brock. He hinted at it. It never happened. I would like to see a darker side, but he says that in the past, no matter who the opponent was or what the match was, he would do things his way with a smile on his face. Oh, gag me. Says that this Sunday there will be no high fives or smiles, just 5 fingers balled up. I like the serious tone here, though. When he gets serious, I like him. I don't like the pandering to the crowd. I don't like the happy-go-lucky John Cena who makes awful jokes that are either scripted or not. They're probably a combination. I don't like when John Cena is like that. I like that he's taking this seriously. It makes Rusev much more credible. He said that this Sunday he fights for respect, but also for the United States Championship. Oh yeah, the belt's on the line. We all forget that? I know a lot of people don't believe that John Cena needs to be a United States Championship. It's not that John needs the U.S. title. The U.S. title needs John Cena. So if he ends up winning the belt, which I do not think he will at Fastlane, if he does, it's going to be at WrestleMania. It's not because John needs the belt. The belt needs John. In other words, this is going to elevate the U.S. title overnight by having John Cena carry it. This isn't downgrading John Cena. It's upgrading the United States Championship. So Rusev and Lana come out. Lana says that it's not John. It's not that John's a stupid American, but that he believes he's in a delusional world where his cup is always half full. But they live in reality where Rusev is the super athlete. It's superior to everyone in WWE. I love Lana. Not just because she's hot, but because her delivery, her look, and they're a great pair. They just have great chemistry. And Lana, if she continues to hone her craft, continues to work on her promos, I could see her as absolutely an asset moving forward. She's, to me, the top manager in WWE besides Paul Heyman. And then we have her saying that even though John Cena never gives up, Lana promises that this time there's no coming back. Rusev says that this Sunday he will crush his body, his spirit, and his will to live. Cena says that he makes one more move and he'll come up there and kick his ass. So, obviously, Rusev made a move. Cena charges up the ramp, slams Rusev on the ramp, and then pays the favor back from last week, slamming him into the LED screen twice, and then continues to punch him in the head. It was a very aggressive side of John Cena, very intentional punches, very graphic punches. They looked good. Obviously, he wasn't landing them, but they looked good. They looked believable. Is this seeding for a heel turn? I don't think so. I think eventually WWE is going to go down this road of a John Cena heel turn. But if it happens, it's going to be at a WrestleMania because it's going to be so big that its only stage can be at WrestleMania. So then we have a Dean Ambrose mock news reporter segment, basically saying that he has breaking news that Bad News Barrett will sign a contract to face Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship at Fastlane. And in my opinion, this is the first time in a while that I can remember a champion not giving a challenger a title shot. I like that. That's such a heel thing to do. Usually they're just kind of giving out title shots like candy. They're putting their belt on the line every week. To me, that shouldn't be the case. It adds value and meaning to the belt by not putting it on the line and not allowing every single person that you have a match with to have a shot at the title. It's very good logic, simple but good, and often forgotten. So just my 2 cents on that. It just brought to light that everybody that faces the IC title in the United States Championship before Rusev just got a shot at it because they were facing him. So then we had Luke Harper and Dean Ambrose. It was a physical match. I liked these two. Luke Harper is clearly an asset. He's super athletic for such a big man. There were some botched kicks and a tornado DDT by Ambrose in which Harper got up first. In other words, Harper got up before Ambrose did, and Ambrose delivered the move. It just didn't make sense. Just little things like that, but it makes a huge difference in the believability. I know believability to a lot of people isn't important, but when you think about it, why would you want to watch a product you are constantly being reminded of isn't real? You want to feel emotion. The way you do that is by forgetting that you're watching something that's scripted, if you want to put it that way. So there are a couple super kicks. And in my opinion, the super kick is being overused. Ziggler uses it, the Usos and Harper, they all use it. It's become almost commonplace, like a clothesline or a DDT. I like it. I mean, it's a good move, but it's too close to Sweet Chin music. And everybody's using it. And it's never ended a match yet. So while it's a cool move, it needs to be subjected and really only allowed for a couple of athletes, not three, just one, in my opinion. It's kind of, like I said, it's a clothesline or a DDT at this point. There was a springboard clothesline that he does, that rebound clothesline, then Dirty Deeds, and then gives, which is basically a Cactus Jack double arm DDT. Ambrose wins, and kind of, it's elevating Dean Ambrose, obviously, for Bad News Barrett down the line. I don't have a problem with that. But as a side note, I don't know if you guys agree with me on this. Let me know your thoughts, because normally I don't pick on a physique of an athlete. Big, tall, short, small, whatever. Doesn't matter, but Dean Ambrose clearly has a future in the WWE. He's main evented a pay-per-view, so he's capable of that. And down the line, I could see him main eventing. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know, but he will be in the shuffle for main events. And in those main events, you have to have a certain look. And to me right now, Dean Ambrose's physique is kind of weak. Not that he's not overweight. He needs to put on muscle, maybe hit the gym a little harder. I'm not trying to judge the guy, but I'm not trying to be Vince McMahon's perfect-esque mold of a WWE superstar that they have to be muscle jacked. But in other words, this guy just needs to look a little bit more intimidating with that wife beater on. That's all I'm saying. Then there was that backstage segment with the Authority. Kane sees Big Show and asks what he's doing here. They argue over what happened on SmackDown because Big Show KO'd Kane. And then they argue about the Royal Rumble, how they had a plan, but Big Show was too stupid or selfish to stick to it. Kane says, why doesn't he try punching him right now? Big Show goes on then to say, May 13th, Psycho, May 13th, referencing an old storyline in case you didn't know. And the sad part is, actually, it was May 19th. Ouch. Do your homework, guys. Triple H tries to unite them, says he's looking for solutions, not excuses, and then announces Kane versus Roman Reigns and Big Show versus Daniel Bryan. These four need to just move away from each other. I know it's a complete exposure of the lack of main event talent in WWE today, but it's the same matches every week. I know WWE probably doesn't have too many places to go, but it gets repetitive with these four, and especially when you see them multiple times throughout Raw. Get rid of the 3 hours, please. There was then a Bray Wyatt promo, one of three. He's twirling a nail and saying, what happened to you was such a tragedy and still stirs a rage inside of me. And he also said that he's now the shell of a man, and any fear I had of you has turned into shameful pity. And then he says it's coming. If this doesn't point to The Undertaker, I don't know what does. I think at this point it's pretty obvious that this is The Undertaker that he's speaking to, especially if it's took up 3 segments of Raw. It's pointing to something huge. It's got to be Taker. There was then the Roman Reigns backstage. Brian Saxton comes up to him asking how he feels since the Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns says, he wasn't manipulated by the Authority, but he was, because they tricked him into giving up his title shot and putting it on the line against Daniel Bryan. Hey, whatever. This is what I'm calling about the clunky storyline they just threw together. And I heard on the Wade Keller hotline, I believe, or their review that he does with Jason Powell on Tuesdays, And they brought up a good point that as much and as pissed off as a lot of fans were and disappointed in the Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar one-on-one match at WrestleMania, the Raw after that, snowed in Raw, with the interview he did and the face-to-face that they did, it actually made it a little bit better. For some reason, these two just seem to have a decent chemistry as far as maybe standing next to each other and giving a stare down. In other words, it just interested me a little bit more. That snowed in Raw actually helped me go, okay, you know what, this may not be so bad. It gave a little interest in the match. So just a little side note and a good point I picked up. He said that he was the one to give Daniel Bryan the opportunity to go to WrestleMania, but he's going to be the one to take it away. And that if he was the one that got thrown over the top rope, he would have taken it like a man. Kind of, I don't know. This is a shot at Bryan, clearly. And I don't know if they're going to turn him heel. There's a lot of rumors of Roman Reigns aligning with Paul Heyman at WrestleMania and Brock Lesnar becoming the biggest babyface ever, because Brock Lesnar is now apparently on the side of WWE in terms of staying. If he's going to stay, I'm telling you, he's turning babyface. Why? Because as a babyface, huge babyface, you sell more merchandise, you make more money, and I guess Brock is also concerned about the concussion possibilities in MMA. So, hey, I'm all for Brock staying for sure. He's got this made. He's the champion. He's part-time. He's making a ton of money, and he's a badass. Not a bad life. We then had Roman Reigns versus Kane. Daniel Bryan was at commentary. A lot of punches and kicks to start. I think Roman Reigns, this is where Roman Reigns needs to expand his moveset. A lot of punch and kicks to start. You're not Stone Cold. Daniel Bryan starts yes chants once Roman Reigns gets the advantage to distract Roman Reigns. This is the problem, though. Daniel Bryan seems too laid back. He came off very immature and too laid back and kind of like almost annoying at Raw. This is where Daniel Bryan is being damaged. There's no magic like last year. If WWE doesn't correct this and this road continues, the fans may turn on Bryan and side with Brock at WrestleMania. Because they know Brock is a badass. And they know he's real. And they have an organic connection with Daniel Bryan. But Daniel Bryan needs to have a little bit of an edge. He needs to stop just being so nice and laid back and immature and running around the ring and doing yes chants. He needs to be a little bit of a character tweak. I don't know. So, Bryan notes that the fans are the reason that he is where he is. That's true. Kane goes for a chokeslam on the outside. There was a spear by Reigns. And just a side note, when was the last time Kane won a match? I don't know. If anybody knows, send it my way, because that's kind of the trivia of the day. When the hell was the last time Corporate Kane, won a match? I don't know. I cannot tell you. Kane in this role is, I don't know what to think of him. We're not supposed to like him because he's with the Authority, but I like him a whole hell of a lot more when he puts the mask back on as the Demon. It's very boring as Corporate Kane or Concessions Kane or any kind of alteration of Kane other than the monster. There was yes chance after the match. Roman Reigns invites him in the ring. Didn't do it. They advertised Daniel Bryan and Big Show for later, overexposing him again. This is like, the second or third segment backstage or what have you that he's been on. So it's tough. There was another Bray Wyatt promo. This is the second one of 3. He says, his hands may have created this world, but mine will destroy it. And limbo is no place for a soul like yours. And says, I'm waiting. Good stuff. Seth Rollins had an in-ring segment. Says he is the most talented performer in the world right now. Do not say performer, Seth. I love you, but say wrestler, please. Performer. You're not no swearing on the show. You're not a effing magician. Okay? Don't tell me you're a performer. That tells me right off the bat what you're doing from here on out is not real. Don't perform for me. Okay? Fight for me. I guess it's just corporate speak. Since they're a publicly traded company, they have to worry about their PR and sponsors and their children, and makes me sick. So he says he's untouchable, and when he does, and when he wants to, he's going to cash in and become champion. WrestleMania, hint, hint. He should be main eventing WrestleMania, but he said instead he's being forced to deal with people that are so far beneath him, like Eric Rowan, Ryback, and Dolph Ziggler. I like this. Seth Rollins has just a believability about him and his delivery. He just believes what he says. I like it. Dolph comes out and says that it seemed like Seth had a bad Valentine's Day. A lot of people going, oh, referencing the pictures, but Dolph didn't directly reference them. I'm sure by management, obviously, that was X-Nate, although it would have been very funny and relevant if Dolph was able to put a jab on him. I guess that's the closest he could come. Dolph basically said that what he's going to do now is what he does best and show off. No. I mean, I guess that's better than saying you're going to perform, but just say you're going to whoop the guy's ass, basically, without saying corporate speak. I hate it. It's killing the product. It's pulling the curtain back more than it needs to be. We then had Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins. J&J got ejected by the referee to the delight of the crowd. A good point by Cole, saying that it's gutsy by the referee to throw out members of the Authority. Good point. I didn't even think of that, Cole. Nice. Good stuff. Amazing counters and reversals to the match. I mean, these guys, I could watch them in an Iron Man match. It would be epic. They just have it. They're one of the two of the probably three best wrestlers on the roster today. There was a zigzag, implying that Dolph was about to win. J&J interfered. They caused a DQ. I hate DQs because WWE has been trending towards disqualifications and non-finishes and sloppy finishes and just a non-clean finish lately. But in this case, it's one of the few I agree because I agree with this finish because it gets heat. It gets really good heat on J&J and Rollins. So then Ryback and Roman come out. They're over as baby faces, and they're making the save. Rollins escapes again. That legitimately angers me. It's kind of like Pat Patterson and Jerry Briscoe getting the stunners when you really want to see Vince McMahon get the stunner. But he keeps weaseling his way out. It just makes you want this guy to get his ass kicked even more. Keep Seth Rollins a heel forever. Well, I don't want to say that because eventually the fans will respect him enough where they will remember his heel work and they'll remember how good he is in the ring. And when they turn him, Seth Rollins will be a huge babyface. I don't see that for a couple of years. So props to Seth Rollins. Props to really management for making this guy one of the best heels, in my opinion, in years. So love it. So then Triple H comes out. He responds to Sting's I accept, little bit from last week that appeared on the Titantron. Triple H says he finds it laughable that people are thinking that he's afraid of Sting and that Sting is going to go face-to-face with the game at Fastlane, not the COO. And right about then, Ric Flair comes out and says, I didn't expect Flair either, that he comes out and says that he came out to just say that he loves Triple H, that he respects him, and then Triple H cuts him off and says that he knows how good Sting is and doesn't need a history lesson because Flair had started to tell him about Sting, and I'm sure Triple H felt that Flair was headed that way. So Flair says not to take Sting lightly or to put yourself in a position to fail. You could see Triple H kind of boiling at this point, and something at some point was going to give, and it did. So Triple H says Sting was and is WCW. He went down with the ship and he respects that, but then he did the smart thing and he disappeared. Because he said if Sting had come to WWE, he would have made it his personal mission to drive Sting out of the company because he rode on the legacy of Ric Flair. A lot of truth to that. Flair says that people ask him who the best wrestler is. He always says Triple H. And then at last year's WrestleMania, he said that there was no way Daniel Bryan could beat him because a wrestler's worst enemy is time off. Good point. I like Flair. Flair was interesting. He still knows how to cut a promo at almost 70 years of age. This guy I love Flair. Love him. And I wish I would see more of him. Triple H says that he is no Flair, but when it comes to kicking Sting's ass, he's no Triple H. Here comes the tension. Flair then says okay, but when he tunes into Fastlane this Sunday, he doesn't want to see Triple H on his ass again. At that point, Triple H shoves Flair down and says whether he beats it out of him or whether Sting leaves on his own, he will never show his face here again. Yeah, okay. Like these two aren't going to have a match at WrestleMania. Laughable. Miz then makes a deal with Bad News Barrett backstage that if he takes Mizdow... Mizdow makes a deal with Bad News Barrett backstage that if he takes Mizdow down a few pegs, that Miz will look out for Ambrose and that contract that he's trying to get Bad News Barrett to sign for the Intercontinental Championship. That's a mouthful. They're just making a deal to get each other's backs, in the short of it. So, Bad News Barrett versus Damien Mizdow. Miz at ringside stops the match, makes Mizdow stop to get a scuff out of his boot, I guess a grease or whatever, or a spot on his sunglasses, just when Mizdow's getting the advantage. And then there was a bullhammer on Mizdow. Bad News Barrett gets the win. This breakup's coming soon, maybe at Fastlane and building to a feud at WrestleMania. I'd have no problem with that. They just need to keep Damien Mizdow hot because the stunt double gimmick is working for him. However, I'm concerned as to what his gimmick will be when he's a singles competitor. He can't be a stunt double for himself, so we'll see what creative comes up with. We then had the third and final Bray Wyatt promo, and he said that, what shakes the heart of a man that can't ever die? And then he said, find me or I'll find you. So, very interesting. Love. I wonder, if creative's coming up with this stuff or if it's coming mostly from Bray Wyatt's head. I think it's probably a combination of both. Bray Wyatt just has it, and I hope they continue to roll with this guy. They've built him up since the Dean Ambrose feud when he cleanly beat Dean Ambrose. Ever since then, he has not lost a match. He eliminated Daniel Bryan from the Royal Rumble. He was one of the finals in Royal Rumble. So this guy is built for something huge, and is only to the Undertaker, I can imagine. We then had Daniel Bryan versus The Big Show. Last segment of Raw here. Roman Reigns was at ringside, not on commentary, probably to the delight of many fans, and really to protect him at this point, so thank God he was just sitting there. Roman Reigns laughs when Big Show slaps Daniel Bryan down. I don't like Roman Reigns laughing. It's kind of arrogant. I think Roman Reigns should be a heel right now. Let the fans boo him and hate him. Just get it out of our system. And I have a feeling that's the way WWE is going to go. Because we always have to hate you before we like you, in most cases. Big Show dominated early. The crowd clearly was tired after 3 hours, but they were a little more alive and behind Daniel Bryan than they were last week. Last week was a disaster, but it still exposes that 3-hour problem. Raw is 2 hours. That third hour, even Triple H said, is awful. Please, 2 hours, bring it back. Roman Reigns starts signing autographs outside the ring, I guess, and then starts taking selfies and pictures, whatever. I guess it's a sign of disrespect that Daniel Bryan showed during his match. There was a commercial break during the main event. Again, this takes you out of the moment and makes it hard to emotionally invest in the match. But then, here's my logic. If Roman Reigns is doing this outside the ring, and you're competing inside the ring, why the hell would Daniel Bryan be distracted by Roman Reigns just interacting with the fans? It has nothing to do with his match. Nothing. He's not pulling his leg. He's not doing anything. So the logic that it was supposed to distract Bryan, I guess, or it's a sign of disrespect mostly, but the logic that it distracted him, kind of like music playing while you're in a match. You're competing in a match. You want to win the match. It should be the most important thing to you. Just because music goes off doesn't mean you stop in your tracks and then next thing you know, you turn around and get hit by the finisher of your opponent. That's usually the case, but just think about it logically. It doesn't make sense. So, Reigns interferes. After that, Daniel Bryan sidesteps and Show spears Reigns on the outside. Reigns eventually interfered, and Superman punches the Big Show. Another disqualification. Rack 'em up, boys. Count up the DQs in every single Raw. Bryan dropkicks Roman Reigns, and then these two continue to brawl. Kind of that 50-50 brawling where one guy's on top punching, the other guy's on it, and then they roll around, the other guy's punching them, and so forth. Nobody really gets the upper hand. It's just kind of a way to tease the audience. It's a nice brawl. The chair shot, though, Roman Reigns didn't seem to sell. He did for a moment and then pop right back up. I didn't like that, but it was physical. It saved Fastlane, in my opinion. It got me excited for Fastlane in a match that if this brawl didn't happen, I'd be kind of low on this match. But really, this brawl it was physical, and it went on for a while, and it almost made it like a must-see on Sunday. So it's obviously going to be the main event. Okay, quick 10-second break. On the other side, I'm giving you my official Fastlane predictions, our final stop on the road to WrestleMania. I'll give them to you next.
And now, back to the Matt's Madness Show.
Okay, Fastlane predictions. I think a lot of people would probably have similar predictions because other than the Roman Reigns Daniel Bryan match, which I'm still kind of up in the air about, the rest of them are pretty straightforward, I believe, and we'll have to see where it goes. And like I said in the beginning, this is a show in which mid-carders have the opportunity to give their final plea to be on the WrestleMania card. Maximize your minutes, as JR always says. So true in this case. It's an opportunity for free for people to see you on a pay-per-view to roll into the biggest event of the entire year. So, all right, I'll start at the top here. Go with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan match first. The number one contenders match. Winner gets the main event at WrestleMania to face Brock Lesnar for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I expect a very physical match. I expect Roman to get 60-40 booed. I don't think it'll be as heavily favored in for Daniel Bryan as many might expect. I think Daniel Bryan will get the majority of the cheers, but I don't think Roman Reigns is going to get buried like he did at the Royal Rumble. Let's just put it that way. It's going to be a lot of kickouts of finishers probably, which has been happening way too much lately. It just devalues the finisher of any wrestler, and it's not as surprising. It's gotten to the point where not kicking out of somebody's finisher is surprising, and that takes down the believability and it decredits the actual finishing maneuver. So stop kicking out of finishes. I understand if it's a WrestleMania. Make it special when it happens. It happens on Raw. So stop kicking out of finishes, please. I understand it's supposed to add dramatics, but you can do that without doing it using your finisher. You can do other huge spots, power moves that don't require a use of your finishing maneuver to create close calls. Anyway, I think that this is going to result in a non-finish. It's going to be a double countout, or not a double countout, excuse me, probably a double disqualification. Just a finish in which there's no winner. It could result in Brock Lesnar coming out and F5ing both men. It's just basically a DQ or some kind of non-finish that allows a triple threat setup for WrestleMania. Because if they don't put both of these guys in the main event, where are they going the next 5 weeks before WrestleMania, 6 weeks, whatever it is? These guys, clearly, they don't have time to build a huge program with anybody else. They're locked in for life, well, till WrestleMania. So it's not going to create a clear winner, and I think however this match ends up, Brock Lesnar's coming out to F5 both men, and we're going to leave with Brock Lesnar with the championship held high. We then have Rusev versus John Cena, which to me is the number 2 match on the card. This is going to be a hell of a brawl. I hope we see a darker side of Cena that he keeps talking about. I don't think there's a chance in hell, as Vince McMahon would say, that the streak of Rusev is broken at Fastlane. I expect either a clean win by Rusev or a finish where Cena maybe passes out in the accolade. Either way, John Cena does not win this match. Or if he does, it's by disqualification, therefore still allowing Rusev to say he has unbeaten as far as getting pinned or submitted. So it's going to keep the streak alive. Nikki Bella versus Paige. Nikki wins because, well, she's, I guess, on a roll. Who knows? I think Paige is going to win it at WrestleMania because the heel tends to finally get his or hers at the big event. I expect this a very heel-oriented show. I do not expect a lot of babyface wins, and you're going to hear a lot of boos come Sunday night. Bad News Barrett versus Dean Ambrose for the IC title. I think Bad News Barrett wins by hook or crook. He's a heel. He's going to cheat to win this one. No problem with that. They'll continue it in WrestleMania as well. The Usos versus Cesaro and Tyson Kidd. The Usos. Well, I have the Usos down, but now that I'm rolling on my heel-oriented... this is a toss-up. I'll stick with my original. I'll stick with Usos, and they're going to probably do a fatal four-way match maybe at WrestleMania for the tag titles. So I'll roll down that again. Double count under DQ, so a non-finish for Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns, where Brock Lesnar comes out and F5s both men. So it rolls that triple threat right to WrestleMania again. Rusev wins versus John Cena. Nikki wins versus Paige. Bad News Barrett wins versus Ambrose. And the Usos win versus Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. Now, before I head out into the sunset, guys, just a couple side notes. I expect appearances from Seth Rollins. I was going to say Randy Orton, but it's more likely on Raw that we see Randy Orton. Maybe, if I was to pick between the return of The Undertaker or the return of Orton, I see the return of Orton on Sunday and the return of Undertaker on Monday. Because Seth Rollins clearly has an unfinished program with Randy Orton that's going to roll all the way to WrestleMania. I've been waiting for Randy Orton to return since TLC. He's been off since November 3rd on Raw. So it's been a good, over 3 months now that we haven't seen Randy Orton. I know he returned at house shows back in late December, 29th, I believe. But it's time for Randy Orton to return and start this program with Seth Rollins. So I hope we see an RKO, but Seth Rollins isn't even in a match. Maybe Seth will come out. Who knows? But just a little tidbit there. So with Bray Wyatt basically calling out The Undertaker on his promos the last few weeks, I don't expect to see The Undertaker at Fastlane, but maybe Bray Wyatt does a promo in the ring, a longer one about this, and then you hear a gong go off and the lights go out. It's just maybe just a message on the Titantron, something along those lines, a response from The Undertaker. But you won't actually see him there. The gong goes off, gets people excited, and I think it ends there. And let's see. As I mentioned, this pay-per-view, it's nothing more than a heat builder for WrestleMania. There's going to be no definitive conclusions. I expect a lot of heel wins. The babyface will prevail typically at the blow-off being WrestleMania. So thank you guys for sticking with me. This has been a show longer than usual a little bit here. I'm rolling almost 40 minutes. If you stuck with me, I really appreciate it. Questions at mattsmadness.com. Best way to get a hold of me, Matts_Madness on Twitter. I really appreciate a follow. And just so you know, I'll be doing a live pre-show on Blog Talk Radio, 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon. I will be on Blog Talk Radio. I'll tweet out the number that you can call if you want to chime in with your opinions or what have you. And it's, again, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, Sunday. I'll be doing a live pre-show for Fastlane to give me your thoughts, questions, anything you have. So join me then. Thank you for joining me now, and I will catch you guys next time.